year so far from a business point of view. And I'm always careful when I say that, Gary, because I know that, we're going through a pandemic and there's a huge number of deaths. So I'm always careful when I say it's been a great year. So yeah, don't misunderstand me. From a business point of view, we've had a good year. I think it's the result of a number of things. The last couple of years, we've recruited heavily, and we've always tried to bring business development associates through. So we want to bring young people in and start them off at ground level and bring them through the business. So get them trained, do their exams, get them qualified. But that period can take a year, can take 2 years to really get someone to the level they need to be. So I think the figures this year are actually as a result of the last 2 years' hard work rather than just this year. But also, to be honest, I think that clients, I think everyone is more, I think you'd agree, they're more focused on their health and their wealth than ever before. People have realized that, crikey, we need to have good fitness, need to have good health. Even, I'm 33, younger people have gone, crikey, I never knew, you never know when you might need this. So got to get in the gym, got to get fit, got to eat well. So I think there's this trend to healthy lifestyles because of this pandemic, but also there's no doubt about it. People have realized that financially they need to have contingency plans, got to have money saved up, got to have that emergency pot. You think you're doing all right and you think you're doing okay, and then boom, suddenly something comes along where you've been furloughed or you've been made redundant. So I think everyone is a bit more aware of, hang on a second, even if I'm doing a good job and my company are doing a good job, actually it could be something totally external that influences that. So I think people are much, much more aware of their finances as well, to be honest. In terms of COVID, yeah, we've had to totally adapt. If you'd have said to me in January that we'd have had every single office in Europe closed, I would have said, what are you talking about? Come on, of course not. It's been mad. We adapted very, very quickly. So as soon as we went into lockdown and all the European countries more or less went in together, we realized that, Gary, we've been doing something for 18 years. We've been out seeing clients face to face. We've had lots of offices. We've always had really nice offices because clients were coming in, wanted to make a good impression. We had to change everything. We had to change the whole lot overnight. And we moved across to this Zoom strategy, if you like. So for Europe, I made sure that we had 2 training sessions a day. So during lockdown, it's 7:30 and 1:30 in the afternoon, 7:30 in the morning, 1:30 in the afternoon. Everybody in Europe logged on to a Zoom call. Most people still, even if they're working from home, suit, tie, or ladies, smart business dress. I think that's the way to do it. I didn't want to have people sat in their t-shirts and their polo shirts. If you're getting up for business and you're speaking to clients, doesn't matter if you're working from home or if you're from an office, you need to be smart. You need to be well presented. And we just trained people. We just trained people like crazy. Imagine two hours a day for 14 weeks, I think this went on for, just a stack of training. So we adapted fairly quickly. That helped, of course, because clients were at home as well. So it's become acceptable to do a Zoom meeting. Clients are fine with it. Our advisors just had to adapt, and they did an absolutely fantastic job, really did. Very, very proud of them all. We've adapted the whole business. It's been a big learning curve to me. So I've always been a big fan of, no, if you join the company, you're working from an office. I don't want people working from home. Obviously, we've had to adapt that, and working from home works. I stand corrected. I do think it's easier working from home though, Gary, when everything's shut. So there was a bank holiday over lockdown. I remember it so well. It was a bank holiday in the UK. It was on a Friday, and the majority of my staff worked. Everybody cracked on as normal. We were in lockdown. Everything was shut. Of course, you can't tell me that on a normal bank holiday, it was really sunny as well. If the pub's open, the restaurants are open, I don't think we would have had quite as many people turn up to work. So it worked well for us. We worked hard. We adapted quickly, but it was also made easier that everything was shut. There were no distractions. Clients have adapted very, very well. They've realized that they still need to get their finances sorted. So great, let's just get it done. Some people actually prefer it. They would rather not travel for half an hour to go to a client meeting, travel half an hour back, sit with an advisor. So from a time point of view, I think everybody's realized it's more effective. I think that we've just gone through a pandemic. I think the whole world has tried to limit their social interaction with people anyway. So that's also helped. People just don't want the germs, do they, these days? So I think most people prefer this way of communicating. Of course, we've had the odd person that has said, listen, looks great, but let's wait until we can meet face to face. I prefer to do it that way. But very, 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 very few cases. Most people have just adapted to this new way of meeting. I wouldn't want to own an airline right now. I wouldn't want to own a business hotel. And not just because right now travel's tough. I don't think we'll ever go back to the way we were before. I don't think you'll ever get people hopping on planes for meetings. I really, really don't. I think if a meeting can be done like this, I think this will be the new norm. I think that it's fast forwarded what was already happening, Gary, if I'm honest. So Goldman Sachs recently published a document talking about COVID and the effect on businesses and the financial world. And they think that it's sped up 2 years worth of globalization, digitalization into 2 months. So they're saying that this was already happening, it's just sped it up. And I'd actually agree with them. So when I think about us as a business, we closed our Frankfurt office about 1.5 years ago. And the reason we closed our Frankfurt office was it was a very, very expensive place to run. Salaries had to be very, very high there. Taxes were high there. Rental costs were through the roof. So we closed the office, but also because we had a lot of German clients, and Germans as a nationality are very, and I'm being quite generalized here, but Germans as a nationality are very, very good with their time. They're time sensitive. They didn't want to waste time traveling to and from meetings. So we actually didn't need to have an office in Frankfurt. The clients there were happy to do business remote. So then we could have an office in Spain, for example. Our Spanish license covers Germany from a passporting point of view. So we could have advisors in a cheaper jurisdiction, and they would do their business over Zoom or Skype, and they would just fly in and out of Germany. So I think this was already happening, but COVID has definitely sped this up, no doubt about it. We have closed a couple of offices. We've closed Prague, we've closed an office in Vienna. We just didn't need them. We realized that we don't need 1 million offices all over the place. More and more business is being done like this, more and more business is being done remote. So I guess it's sped the business plan up a little bit. It's put things on fast forward. It's meant that we've closed a couple of places that may well have been, closed anyway. And then we're focusing on the hubs. So we've got about 17 offices now in Europe as opposed to 20. No worries. Got about 17 offices in Europe as opposed to 20. And it's a big focus on the hub offices, less offices, but then focus on the hub offices. And we do have people working remote as well. So we have got people working from home all over the place. So that's different as well. So yeah, definitely changed things, but maybe sped up something that was already happening. We believe that fintech's the future, Gary. We really, really do. There's that reliance on a telephone more than ever. Everything we do is on a telephone these days. Everything. I did a poll on a recent webinar that I was doing, and I said, what would you rather not lose? Your keys, your mobile phone, or your wallet? Rather not lose. And 97% of people that out of those three things, they don't want to lose their phone. 97%. So there's this reliance on a mobile phone that's more and more and more. Banking is being done via apps, it's being done on mobile phones, and investing and savings exactly the same. So we're convinced that trend will carry on. More and more people will use their mobile phone for savings and investment. So we've tried to bring out a range of apps. I think we've got 9 different apps now where clients can download apps on their mobile phone and they can save and they can invest their money with, either zero or limited help from an advisor. People always need financial advice. Financial advice can be very, very complex. If you've got somebody that's living in Vienna, but they want to move to the UK and then they want to go and retire in Thailand, for example, an app clearly isn't good enough for that. And an app isn't advanced enough for that. You need to seek personal financial advice. So as a business, we've tried to do both. We're still focused on the personal financial advice. We still want to have the best advisors in the industry, but we recognize that the apps are here to stay when it comes to finance. So bringing a lot of people into the company, and we're training them to use fintech to understand how the apps work. That's what we think the future is. I'm surprised that the majority of our competitors haven't gone down that route. I just can't imagine that the mobile phone becomes less than it is now. So for us, it's to give the very, very best customized and personalized financial advice. We still want to have the best advisors out there, but we also want to be there being the best provider in digital financial solutions. So you've got to have a good company vision. That comes down from Nigel. So Nigel communicates the vision, and that filters its way down the company. I think that helps when you're trying to bring the top talent in. Say, look, this is what we want to become. Does that fit in with where you think the industry is going to be going? I think that we're well known in the industry for having excellent products. That really helps as well. And I also think we're well known in the industry for progression. You know, you certainly couldn't look at deVere and say we don't develop people, we don't progress people. So I think those would be the three things: strong company vision, excellent products, but also just make sure you're really good at developing people. Make sure you provide fantastic training. Make sure you help them get their exams, they get their qualifications. So I think that's what attracts the top talent. I think that we've had to be a bit more flexible recently. So I mentioned earlier working from home. 6 months ago, I would have said, nah, I want everybody working from offices. Now we've had to be a bit more flexible. That's okay, actually, if you want to work remote, if you've already been trained, you've got the exams, you've got the qualifications, maybe you don't need to come into an office for 7:30, 8 o'clock every morning. So got to be a bit more flexible. And of course, we recognize that sometimes people want to start their own business. So Andy Oliver is somebody that I've worked very, very closely with over the past couple of years. Andy Oliver was a manager of Spain, Portugal, and Germany for us. Been speaking to him over the last 9 months or so, and it was clear that Andy wanted to run his own business. Well, I think deVere's had to adapt to people like that. Andy's been with us for a number of years now, done a good job. We've then set up a network model so that Andy can stay part of the overall deVere family. He can set up his own company. He can run his own business, which gives him the control that he wanted. But then he can still access the deVere products. So perhaps that's the best of both worlds for Andy. Certainly doesn't suit everyone. Most people don't want to run their own business. They like having the safety net. I'm perhaps one of those people. So we've just had to adapt, Gary. We've had to be a little bit more flexible than perhaps what we were beforehand. I actually think the next 12 months are going to be very, very similar to the last 12 months. I think that we are in a new norm, is the truth. I don't think we'll go back to doing lots and lots of face-to-face meetings. I think there'll be more reliance on technology like this. I don't think that will change. I don't think that we will, again, as I said, need 1 million offices all over Europe. I think it's best to consolidate, focus on the hubs, focus on the bigger offices, rather than having some smaller ones out there. So I think those two things are here to stay. I think in terms of the way we've adapted, it helps when you've got a flatter structure. So we've now got a slightly flatter structure within the company. We've got 5 layers between somebody joining the company and Nigel as the CEO. So I think that really helps. Sometimes companies can get too big, they get too many layers. So we've cut down a couple of the layers, and that's helped us be a little bit more nimble. It's helped us adapt a bit quicker. It's helped us with the strategy. So I think those things are here to stay. Make sure that you've got a flat dynamic structure. Make sure you can shift things easily. You've got to make sure that you've got good technology in the offices, Gary, as well. The offices have changed a little bit. So I'll tell you a slightly amusing story from here. I'm in the London office today, and all of our offices have had nice reception areas. And we had a nice reception area in this London office. And we came out of lockdown, we've come back into the office, and we're really struggling for Zoom space, as the guys call it. We didn't have enough meeting rooms because we just didn't, right? It was a different world that we're in now. Everything is done over Zoom. So the guys have taken out the broom cupboard. We've got quite a nice broom cupboard. They've taken the brooms out, the mops and the buckets and the Hoover, That's been dumped into reception, right? Because there's no clients coming in and out of the office anymore. And they've put a shelf in the broom cupboard and turned it into a Zoom room. Mad, right? There's more of an importance now on having lots of Zoom rooms than there is on having a fancy reception. Crazy, mate. So we've now got the mops and buckets on the reception desk. Got to have good technology in the offices. It's so important.